We don't believe that the Second Amendment guarantees somebody the right to walk into a movie theater with a semi-automatic weapon and a 100-round ammo magazine and shoot 71 people. We don't believe that. And we believe that we need to have a national conversation.
If President Obama gets one more term, it will break the back of the Second Amendment in this country. I mean, he is out to erase the Second Amendment from the Bill of Rights.
No one can tell me, and no argument from the NRA can say to me that I'm taking away someone's right not to be able to own this. This is meant to kill as many people as possible in the shortest period of time.
If he gets reelected, we're going to go to our grave mourning the freedom that will be lost.
Okay, just a sample here of the sound back and forth about this. Andy, let me ask you, instead of trying to solve everything, let's try and solve a few pieces of this. It's still fresh in everybody's mind. They know the guy's name, his face, and they remember what the gun looks like, and they see how many bullets, and they say how. Let's start with a weapon here, okay? An AR-15. It looks to me pretty close to an M16, right?
Civilian model, yeah.
Okay. Translate what that means. How is an assault weapon that can fire off, as he said, with an extended clip, 100 rounds without stopping, how is that for the general population?
I mean, it's not. It's for the military. I mean, these weapons of war have no place in civilian society. We talked about this in 2003, 2004, when we were trying to reauthorize and strengthen the federal assault weapons ban after we passed it in 2000 in New York. Over 1,900 police chiefs in 37 states were for strengthening and renewing the federal assault weapons ban. These are the folks that see this on the streets every single day, and they were telling elected officials, hey, listen, you've got to help us here. We're outgunned, okay? Elected officials, they didn't listen. The President of the United States at the time, George Bush, he didn't listen.
Yeah, every time I have this debate with somebody, either from the NRA or a like group, they'll say, hey, modifications, basically you can't really do this because every gun's almost the same here. I know that looks like an M16, but it's not. With modifications, they'll just get around it anyway.
Right. I mean, there's some truth to that. The federal assault weapons ban in '94 had a lot of problems with it in terms of what the gun makers did. They went around it. They made some modifications, and they put almost the same type of guns on the street. So what we tried to do in 2004 was have a strengthened assault weapons ban that took care of a lot of those copycats.
Okay.
New York's, for example, is similar to the federal bill that was passed in '94, but it's on the books, which is a good thing.
Ammo. How did somebody buy 6,000 rounds of ammo, and how do we have extended clips? Can somebody give me logic for why you need to be able, I don't think it's too much sport here to go hunting Bambi here with a 100 extended clip, right? I mean, so help me with the logic. Is there a way to mitigate ammo where you can still own a gun and still defend your home, still go hunting, but you don't have to have something like we see on our screen?
I mean, back around '86, '87, there was a bill in Congress, the McClure-Volkmer Act, which totally deregulated the sale of ammunition. And that's brought us to where we are right now. So there were really no background checks, and states, for the most part, also don't regulate the sale of ammunition. You have a few states where you may have to show your license. In New York, you may have, if you have a handgun, you can only buy a certain caliber, but it's not enough, obviously.
The only argument I hear from folks that makes a little bit of sense is, hey, you know, I love to go to the shooting range, okay? Is there a way to say, okay, you know what, you want to own an AR-15 or you want to have a 100-round clip here, keep the gun at the range, or keep the ammo clips at the range, or be a member of the range. We have to sign in so that there's some record keeping of it, so somebody has to basically okay it. I know in Canada, for example, 2 people got to sign off if you got a gun. I'm not talking about bringing that to the States, but so it's not this anonymity thing that with this vacuum where every time this happens, everyone's like, well, I don't know how it happened, let's start all over again.
Right. I think we definitely have to look at ways to better regulate this, or really regulate the sale of ammunition. We obviously need a new assault weapons ban that takes into account these copycat assault weapons. I mean, these are things that have to be done. Is the will there in Congress and on behalf of the President? I don't really know, but that's something we're working on. And again, I go back to law enforcement. Law enforcement wants this. They don't want these guns on the street.
And nobody's accusing cops of being bleeding hearts here. So Andy, the last thing is, I've heard a lot of different arguments about registering people here and having a database, whether it be for the bullets, or micro-stamping, or whether it be for somebody, you go buy a gun, if you want to fish, at least in New York, you got to get a license. You want to drive a car, you got to get a license. What would be realistic now? Okay, not pie in the sky for what you'd want, but realistic for a form of registry that isn't a state-by-state kind of thing, that would be a national database. So if somebody does a bad thing, they can make it easier for the cops to find them, but then also so we know if somebody's not buying, 10,000 rounds of ammo at 5 different stores. How can we do that?
Well, I mean, we've got to have a better background check system. We have one right now in this country when the gun is first sold by the licensed gun dealer. I mean, a person has to go through a background check, but that database is only as good as the records that are in there. So one thing is we need better records. We need to get the states to all submit their records of disqualified people. It's definitely doable. It's a resource issue. I mean, we do have something in place. We need to do a better job. But I also think we need to have background checks on secondary sales of weapons, meaning that if I want to sell my gun to you on the second hand, that has to be run through a background check. In most states, that doesn't happen. In New York, it does because we have handgun licensing and registration. New York has got some of the best gun laws on the books, and we've got the 4th lowest gun death rate. And we see it. States with weak gun laws have high gun death rates. States with strong gun laws, low gun death rates. New Jersey, Massachusetts, Governor Romney passed the assault weapons ban in 2000. Massachusetts has some of the strongest gun laws and the lowest gun death rate. So background checks are an important piece of the puzzle. And it also helps to kind of reduce the illegal guns on the streets, which is the biggest problem in my mind that we face.
That's what Tom said.